Hello friends and watch lovers, welcome back to Watch Adventures with me, JK. And for today's short impromptu stream, I decided to show you something that came in the mail today. And it is a very nice, I think at least, very nice watch. It's a very nice vintage watch. And so I wanted to share this with you. As you can see here, we have a Seiko watch, a chronometer in front of us. This watch is from the 1970s. Let's flip it over and let me show you the case back so you can see the serial number down here. It starts with a 2 and a 7, which means it's from a year that ends with the number 2 and the month 7 here, the month of July. This is a King Seiko 56. Let me see if I can show you this. This is a little bit difficult to see. A 5626 is the reference of this movement inside this watch. And these movements were produced in the late 60s and early 70s. So this 2 in front here of the serial number for the year means it's from 1972. If you know King Seiko and also Grand Seiko, then you might know that here, usually in the middle of this watch, there should be a gold medallion. And it is obviously missing here. Instead, it is engraved with Seiko and King Seiko, the Suwa logo down here, and then showing chronometer. So this is an interesting transitional case actually, because in 1972, I don't know, maybe early 1972, King Seiko had a medallion here in the middle, and then later on, for the second generation, if you will, of this watch, they changed to this plain case back without the medallion. Usually these cases, the watches without the medallion, they have a different movement inside, a different movement revision. As I said, it has the 5626 movement inside here. And there are 2 revisions of that movement, revision A and revision B. And the revision B was in this version of this King Seiko that had no medallion. So this one here, as I said, is a transitional case-back version of that watch. And how you can see from the outside what kind of movement is in there, whether it's a revision A or revision B, is actually from down here. And you can maybe see this little, let me try to get that in focus a little bit more. Yeah, you can see here this little screw. That one allows you from the outside, without opening the watch, to regulate the watch. And the later revisions, the revision B of that movement, didn't have that feature anymore. So there's a revision A in this watch, but the case back already belongs actually to what was later than the second revision, the revision B. As you can see here also, this is a mono case. So the watch movement has to come out from the front. So there's no way to open the watch case here from the back. There's no screw down back. It's a single piece. And it also says here, as you can see, open through glass, push the lever, pull the stem. That's how you get the movement out of the case. Let's flip it over and have a look at the dial, actually, because this is really something Seiko put so much effort in it. This watch dial has no lume on the indexes. They look dark here just because they're polished in a way that it has a black polishing in the middle. And that means all the light is totally reflected from these indexes. And when I move it a little bit, then you can see, when I play with the light here, you can see these nice small indexes with the steel part on the outside that is not polished, and then in the middle there is this black polishing that makes these indexes look black. These hands here, as you can see, this one, the hour hand is a steel hand and has a little black line in the middle, a little bit black inset. The minute hand, though, is a very thin black version, and the second hand is also black. And this shape of hands that is exclusive in this series to the chronometer versions. There's a non-chronometer version of that watch, and it has more classically styled hands. So as you can obviously see, this is a day-date version. There's also a date-only version available of this one, which would be the reference 5625. As I said, this watch came in this week. It had a recent service, at least that's what I've been told, but there's something wrong with this watch. The date mechanism doesn't work properly, and specifically the quickset of the date doesn't work. So it changes over at midnight properly, but when you pull the stem, let me switch quickly and show you. Oops. When you pull the stem here to the first position, you were actually supposed to turn, oops, there we go, to turn the crown in one direction, and the date is supposed to change. As you can see, nothing changes here. I can turn and turn and turn, nothing changes. And when you turn the crown the other way, this way, then the date is supposed to change, and that also doesn't happen. So it is likely that in here there's a little intermediate wheel that drives this quickset mechanism, that either this one's displaced or is broken or maybe is even missing. So we'll see. And what we're going to do is I will open this watch and we will check what's going on with the date mechanism. So how do you open this watch case? As I said and I showed you, the back is a mono case, so there's no way to get it from the back. It has to come out in the front. This crystal here, a Hardlex crystal, this is some kind of glass crystal, a special glass, Seiko calls it Hardlex, is held in place by this bezel, and on one side of this bezel there's a little indentation, and it looks like it's on this side here, and that is where you can use a case knife to open the watch case. And I'm gonna do this now. So let's see. Turn this over, and yeah, it is up here. So we can gently press in here and then slowly open this up without making scratches, of course, which is not quite easy, so there we go. Okay. So let's lift this off. And here we have the bezel. Let's put this aside. And now, as you can see, the crystal is accessible. We'll see if we can get it out. We check. So there's a seal here. Let me show you. There's a rubber seal here in between the crystal and the case. Gently getting in between here, and I think that should be enough to lift off the crystal. Yeah, and there we go. So you can see the crystal sits inside of this metal ring here. Let's put this aside, and then here's the seal, the rubber seal. Let's lift this away, put it aside too. Okay, and now we have access to a little lever in here. And if you remember what was written on the back side, it said push the lever and then pull the crown. So that's what we're going to do. You can see this lever here, this peeking through this piece here. And when you push that down, then you can pull the crown out. So let me put the crown in the middle position and then push down. Just a sec. Here we go. There's a ring here. We should remove the ring first because it is easier to access the lever after removing this ring. Carefully, so we don't mess up the hands. Put that aside, and now the lever is very well visible here. And if we push this down, then not moving. Let's see. Okay, so there we go. So I accidentally pushed the wrong lever, so because it is this one here. I don't know if you can see that it's this one instead of this one. This one needs to be pushed down, and then the crown can be pulled out like this. So there we have it. Okay, crown looks good. So as you can see, this movement has a hacking function. So as soon as you pull out the crown, the movement stops. And this is the moment that we should remove the hands. So let's get some hand lifters. And something to cover up the dial, so we don't damage the dial with the levers. Turn this a little bit here, so it's easier to get to. First thing is the second hand, because it was a little bit misaligned. Let's get it away. And now we can remove the minute and the hour hand too. There we go. So get these out of the way, and there you have it. The movement can now be removed, and to do this we have to rotate a little ring inside. And let me quickly remove that speck there on the dial. Piece of dirt here. There we go. So, and to remove the movement now from the watch case, we have to rotate a little bit. Rotate the whole movement a little bit in clockwise direction. So let's see. it seems to be stuck, which is not good. Sometimes this ring that keeps the movement in place is a little bit stuck. Let me see. Maybe. No, it's still stuck. Oh, there we go. Let's see. You can see maybe this ring down here, or this part of this ring can be moved, and now the movement turns. And with that moved upwards, we should be able to now get the movement out of the watch case, and there we go. Okay, let's have a quick look on the inside of the watch case. What we have here. Something like 13th February 1960, maybe 13.2.60, and then here in the middle I don't know what that is, probably the mark of a watchmaker that serviced this watch. Okay, otherwise nothing really spectacular. Down here you can see the screw through which the movement can be regulated from the outside. So you unscrew this one, remove it, and then it gives you access to a part of the movement where there's the another tiny screw that allows you to regulate the watch. So before we continue, let me get my finger cots on so we don't touch the movement, and get finger grease on it. Okay. So, and here we go. As I said earlier, it's a 5626A movement, 25 joules. And it has the typical sunburst decoration on the rotor here that all the King Psychos and also the Grand Psychos have. Let me quickly check the rotor. Yeah, it's all right. We turn this. Let's see. Yeah, looks good. The movement is also always decorated with these grainings here, sunburst graining on the ratchet wheel and the crown wheel, sunburst graining also here on the rotor, and then a little bit of snailing here on the bridges actually. This is very important. This part is very important. Don't lose this one, because this is the lever that is used to pull the crown out of the movement. Sorry. This one here. If you lose this and you put the movement in to the watch case and put the crown in, then you can't get the movement out of the watch case anymore. So pay attention and don't lose this one. Down here you can see the little regulator screw that is accessible from the outside through the watch case. Don't lose this one too, because this is just put in here. This is loose. You can pull it out. So be aware that this might fall out. Don't lose this one. Okay. So to get to the date mechanism, we have to, of course, remove the dial. And to do this, we're going to unscrew the dial feed screws. There's one here, and when we turn a little bit, then here on this side there is another one. So let's get this done. Let me see. Wrong size. Oh, no, this is not the dial feed, the dial foot screw. As you can see, this is the regulator screw. Let me show you. This is the regulator screw here. And when you turn this, then it moves this little accenter down here. And that shifts. And that way you can regulate the watch. So this screw here, this one is the regulating screw. Okay. Let's see. There is one dial foot. dial foot screw here. As you can see, here's the dial foot, and this screw simply cuts into the dial foot. I don't know if you can see that so well. Here, this is the dial foot, and the screw cuts into the dial foot and holds it in place. So this is like a small accenter. If you loosen this up, like this, then the screw, the dial can be removed. Now we need to find the second one. It's usually on the opposite side, exactly. Here we have it. And let's unscrew this one too. There we go. Okay, that should be enough already. And now the dial can be lifted off. Yeah. There we go. There's a little plastic ring down here that holds the dial in place, or acts as a little spacer to keep the dial in the right position. Okay. So let's put this aside, and we almost have access to the date mechanism. As you can see, the day wheel here has alternating English and Japanese markings. So in order to remove the date wheel here, this little spring here has to be removed. Sorry. Let me show you this again. In order to remove the date ring here, there's a spring in the middle here that holds this in place, holds it down. This one has to be removed, and it's very easy to lose this spring, so be extra careful here, because the tension makes this little spring jump away very easily. Let's see. Yep, there we go. Put this aside, and now we can lift this day wheel off. So, let's see. Let's put the stem back in place. And let's see what is wrong with this mechanism here. When I pull it out, interesting. as you can see, the day, the date is supposed to be moved like this. And the day is moved like this. So the day changes, or should change, because this wheel here that operates the day wheel is moving. Let me put this aside and have a look on the underside of the day wheel and see if there's something wrong. Actually, no. This looks good. So the day should change. You can try that again, put it on and see. And as you can see, it moves. So that problem seems to be fixed. The only thing that is now not working is the date switchover, and we have to find out what is wrong with this one. So I'll take the day wheel off again, put it aside, and then we have a look at the date mechanism. So this is the day switchover. You can see this little intermediate wheel here, this one. When turning clockwise, it is interfacing with this wheel, and that drives the day mechanism. The date mechanism, when I turn anti-clockwise, you can see that this little intermediate wheel moves over and should now interface with the date part. And we'll have to see what's going on here. It turns. Let's have a closer look. Oh, it's hard to get in focus at this magnification level. There we go. First of all, you can see here one of the problems, if you will, with this kind of movement, because there are plastic parts in here, and over time these plastic parts, they weaken and then they can break. These little fingers here that you can see, they can easily break off. In this case though, they are still there. But they're not turning the dates. Yeah. So let's see what we can do about it. be that this date ring is stuck, but it doesn't look like. Yeah, it wants to move. And actually it can move, as we saw that. But the force that this intermediate wheel puts on the date ring is not enough to move the date ring. As you can see here, so it can move. There's this spring here that holds the date ring centered within the date window. Yeah, so it can change over, but this intermediate wheel here does not put enough force on the teeth of the date wheel to move it around actually. This mechanism over here is actually what turns over the date at midnight. You can see this part up here is also a plastic part that can break, but the watch changes at midnight, so this part here does operate and work. The only thing that doesn't work is this quickset here. So it's hard to see from that point here what is wrong with this intermediate wheel. Yeah. I guess we have to take it apart further and have a closer look. So in order to remove the date ring now, there are two screws here in this cover plate that need to be removed. This one, and then the cover plate can be removed. This cover plate here that has a little spring here as well. This one centers the day. I don't know. I hope it's visible because it's very glistening here. This little spring holds the day mechanism in place inside the window in the in the dial. So let's see. Let's remove this cover plate. This is a little bit too big. One size smaller. Here we go. And the second screw. Here we go. So these screws are tiny. Don't lose them. Okay. So this cover plate is free now. This is the cover plate with this little spring that keeps the day mechanism centered. So there's one more cover plate here that holds down the date ring, and that is secured by one screw close to the shock system here. Let's unscrew this too. My screwdriver is slightly magnetic, which helps with the disassembly. And now, as you can see, the plate already moved. And the date ring can be lifted off. All right, so you can see here as well that the intermediate wheel actually moves freely in both directions. So it is very likely there's very likely just a small adjustment needed. Maybe to this part here, to this spring that holds the date ring in place. Yeah. Let's put this ring in place again and see. can't really see any problem. Why the date isn't moving. There's also not too much force on this spring down here that centers the date. It should actually move quite easily. Well, it's hard to say. Why this is stopping. Actually, I'm not quite sure this is even supposed to move, because it looks like it just moves in one direction from the other side in the other direction. And there is some kind of mechanism that stops it in that direction. So I guess I have to do a little bit of research if that actually is supposed to turn and quickset the date, or if the date quickset is done by alternating between 9 p.m. and 3 a.m. back and forth, because that is also a way to change over the date quicker. I really have to see whether the quickset should only work for the day mechanism, which it does, or when it's properly put together. I guess I assume why it wasn't working in the first place was that this part here, that this spring, this little spring was slightly misaligned, and if that's not in place, then it keeps the date wheel from moving. Sorry, the day wheel here from moving. This little spring grabs into one of these teeth here, down here, and if this is not properly aligned, then the wheel also doesn't move. So yeah, I guess I put that back together and do a little research on whether the date mechanism actually should have the quickset by the crown or just by alternating back and forth between 9 p.m. and 3 e.m. So let's put it back together then. The movement otherwise looks pretty good, actually. It's not a lot of dirt, so it probably has been serviced recently. And just the date mechanism wasn't properly assembled, I guess. So, okay. Let's put the date ring back on here. And it's important that it's properly aligned and that this spring here is in between these teeth. So we have the two cover plates. This one let's see. That goes here, but not like this, because it has to be over the date ring, so we need to that again, lift that away, remove it again, put the date in place. There we go. And then put the cover again on top. Like this. And just grab the tiny screw. It is really tiny. Go. So let's see. Okay. That one is in place. Now the second one. This one here with the spring for the day mechanism. So let's see. It goes here. So one screw, second screw, unscrew a second screw there. Let's fix this one first. Oops, not like this. Sorry about that. So once again, you have to make sure that the date ring is properly in place. That's what the problem was. So, like this. There we go. Now the screw again. Let's try that one more time. Screw is not in place. There we go. Okay, first one. Second one. Nope. All right. Well, the magnetic screwdriver doesn't really help in assembling the movement. Probably have to get another one. One more time. There we go. Okay. So that's the cover plates in place again. As you can see. So let's see that the intermediate wheel still works, and it does. All right, then let's put the day wheel on top. And the important part now is to get this spring here in between one of these teeth, so let's see. Yeah. This looks good. And now we have this little spring on top here that holds the day wheel in place. Okay. So it still doesn't move. Which is weird. Oh, there we go. So now it moves. But this spring is not in place here. This one. And that's because of this little ring . Let's try that again. This little ring, that seems to be the problem. That doesn't hold the day wheel down properly. And that's why the spring is getting misplaced. This one. And then the date change doesn't happen. So I guess I have to find maybe a replacement for this spring, or maybe readjust it a little bit. maybe we can do that. Let's see if we tighten it a little bit, if that helps. Let me find a pair of tweezers and a plier. Let's see if we can tighten this a little bit without destroying the spring actually. I don't know if that works, we'll see. Oops, and that happens. Okay, let me find that spring again. Yeah, that happens when you're not careful enough. So I don't want to bore you too long with this missing spring. I guess I have to find a replacement anyway to properly repair this. So I would have loved to show you a working mechanism here, but apparently that's not going to happen in this video. So that is, let's keep that for another one, I guess. Yeah, unfortunately, that's it for today then. The proper assembly of that mechanism is coming up. I will also do some research on the quickset for the date, actually, if that should work using the second position of the crown or alternating back and forth between 9 and 3 only. And then I have another video coming up with a full assembly of a Psycho-Biomatic. That was requested via a poll in the community section, so yeah, That one's coming up pretty soon. If you're interested in that, stay tuned, or maybe even subscribe to this channel if you like it, and get notified when the video goes online. So thank you so much for watching today. I saw there were a couple of live viewers. Thank you. Thank you also for bearing with me. And I guess I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.